Morning, all children. Today we are going to learn a poem of Rabindranath Tagore, a famous poet of India. So the poem name is The Banyan Tree. The Banyan Tree, and it's written by Rabindranath Tagore. Here in this poem, Rabindranath Tagore is talking about the great old banyan tree which he had in his childhood days. And he still remembers the days he spent with the tree, and still he wants to become a small child, like to enjoy the days like how he enjoyed in the beginning. So let's learn what are his feelings towards the banyan tree. So now let's read the poem first. Oh, you shaggy headed banyan tree standing on the bank of the pond, have you forgotten the little child, like the birds that have nested in your branches and left you? Do you not remember how he sat at the window and wondered at the tangle of your roots and plunged underground? The women would come to fill their jars in the pond, and your huge black shadow would wriggle on the water like sleep, struggling to wake up. Sunlight danced on the ripples like restless tiny shuttles weaving golden tapestry. Two ducks swam by the wood margin above their shadows, and the child would sit still and think. He longed to be the wind and blow through your rustling branches, to be your shadow and lengthen with the day on the water, to be a bird and perch on your topmost twig, and to float like those ducks among the weeds and shadows. Rabindranath Tagore. So, in this poem, the Rabindranath Tagore he is remembering the olden days where he spent with the old banyan tree at his backyard. So, let's see how he is explaining the uh, picture of the banyan tree. Oh, shaggy headed banyan tree standing on the bank of the pond. So he calls the banyan tree as a shaggy headed banyan tree. That means the tree with full of branches without having any restrictions. The branches are spread everywhere, and it looks like a shaggy headed. Shaggy means long and untidy, means not very neat like. So when the branches of the tree spreads, they will not be having any control. They will not be having any tidiness. They are not so neat. So in the same way, even the banyan tree has the branches. So he's asking, yes, you are standing on the bank of the pond. Yes, when I saw you, you were standing on the bank of a pond. Means at the shore of the pond. Have you forgotten the little child, like the birds that have nested in your branches and left you? So, have you still remember me, or have you forgotten me? Because I was a little child at the time. So, like me only, many birds must have been there with you and must have left you after some time. Same way how I did. But I don't think you have forgotten me. Still, you must remember me. You must be remembering me. Or really you forgot me, or what? Like the other birds you forgot. Next paragraph. Do you not remember how he sat at the window and wondered at the tangle of your roots and plunged underground? So, do you not remember how he sat at the window? So, you must be remembering the child who used to come to you. So, please remember how he used to sat at the window of his house and how he wondered at the tangle of your roots. Tangle means the twisted roots, the bent roots, and how they went underground. Plunged means they moved. So, your roots were so twisted and went underground. So the boy means me. I used to sit at the window and used to be very surprised at your roots and the underground movements of your roots. Next paragraph. The women would come to fill their jars in the pond, and your huge black shadow would wriggle on the water like sleep, struggling to wake up. So the women would come to fill their jars in the pond. The women of the village, they used to come to fill their jars in the pond. So you were standing at the pond shore, and the people used to come. The women of the village used to come and to fill their jars with the water. At the time, your huge black shadow would wriggle. Means you were such a big tree, and your shadow would fall on the women who came to fill the water. On the water like sleep struggling to wake up. So how the shades were looking? Shades were looking like the water is sleeping, and it's getting to wake up. The shade of your tree used to fall on the water when they tried to fill their pots with the water. At the time, the shade used to make the water to feel like sleeping and struggling to wake up. Means the water was looking like just now it's getting up or waking up from the sleep. Next, sunlight danced on the ripples like restless tiny shuttles weaving golden tapestry. Tapestry means large piece of heavy cloth. So, sunlight which fell on your water used to dance on the ripples like. So, you used to have some ripples. Ripples means small waves in the water. So, you used to have some ripples in the pond, or pond used to have some ripples, some small waves, and the sunlight, when it fell on the water, they were looking like dancing. The ripples were looking like dancing, and restless tiny shuttles weaving golden tapestry. So tiny shuttles, so means the movement of the sun rays. They used to weave golden tapestry. Tapestry means a heavy cloth like. Means when the sun rays were falling on the water, they used to make a some kind of shining on the water, and it was looking like a tapestry. Tapestry means a big heavy cloth. Next, two ducks swam by the woody margin above their shadows, and the child would sit still and think. So, sometimes two ducks, the birds, watery birds, swam by the woody margin above their shadows. Sometimes the two ducks used to come from the far away. Woody margin means from far away areas where some woods used to be there. And the child used to sit and still think about you and your water and your animals or birds coming into the water. So in that way, the child means Rabindranath Tagore used to sit and think about. Next paragraph. He longed to be the wind and blow through your rustling branches, to be your shadow and lengthen with the day and the water, to be a bird and perch on your topmost twig, and to float like those ducks among the weeds and shadows. Rabindranath Tagore. So he longed to be the wind and blow through your rustling branches. When the boy used to sit and look at you, he longed to be the wind. He wished to be a wind which go through your rustling branches. The boy wanted to be a wind which goes through your rustling branches. Rustling means making small sound when the branches, both the branches get rubbed with each other. When branches get rubbed with each other, there's a rustling sound made. Some leaves make a murmur sound. So at the time, I felt, or the boy felt like being a wind and go through your branches. Then to be your shadow and lengthen with the day and the water. Same time, even I wanted to be your shadow and lengthen with the day and the water. And even I wanted to fall. I want to be your shadow and to fall on the water in the pond. To be a bird and perch on your topmost tree. Also, the boy wanted to be a bird and to perch on your topmost tree. Perch means sitting. So, he wanted to be a bird and sit on the topmost branch and to float like those ducks among the weeds and shadows. Also, the boy wanted to be a duck and to float on your branches. So, in that way, and float like those ducks among the weeds and shadows. He wanted to be a duck and to float among the weeds and shadows in the water also. So in that way, the boy wanted to become one of the part of your body, not like maybe it's a branch or a wind or a duck or something, but he loved to be a part of your uh, whole body. So in that way, here the poet Rabindranath Tagore wants to be the part of the big banyan tree, and he wants the big banyan tree to remember him even now. So this is all about the poem. Now let's learn some question answers part now. Time to answer. Why does the poet call the banyan tree shaggy headed? Here the poet calls the banyan tree shaggy headed because the trees or the branches of the tree went everywhere without any restriction. They went everywhere without any restriction, and they had grown into a big tree. So that is called as the shaggy headed. Second question. From where did the poet look at the banyan tree as a boy? So the poet looked at the banyan tree through the window of his house. So he looked at the banyan tree from the window of his house. Next, pick out the lines from the poem that show that the banyan tree stood near a pond. So here, the woman, third paragraph, first line, the woman would come to fill their jars in the pond. Next paragraph, first line, sunlight danced on the ripples like. Then the next line, first line, two ducks swam by the woody margin above their shadows. These are the lines which shows that the banyan tree stood near a pond. Now, let's find out the spellings for the next main. Time to spell well. Complete the following words. Here we get the first word shaggy, S-H-A-G-G-Y. S should be put. Then second word tested, T-E-S-T-E-D. Third, remember, R-E-M-E-M-B-E-R. Fourth word wriggle, W-R-I-G-G-L-E. Fifth word, plung, P-L-U-N-G-E. Sixth, tangle, T-A-N-G-L-E. Seventh, weaving, W-E-A-V-I-N-G. Eighth, ripples, R-I-P-P-L-E-S. Next, 9, shadow, S-H-A-D-O-W. 10th, twig, T-W-I-G. 11th, tapestry, T-A-P-E-S-T-R-Y. 12th, perch, P-E-R-C-H. Write the opposite words for the following. Struggle, win. Shaggy, sleek or tidy. Float, drown. Remember, forget. Huge, small. Now, let's learn about time to write part. Here, we get some words. Write a few lines about the importance of our national tree, banyan tree. The banyan tree is commonly found in India. It is worshipped as a holy tree. It's a large, leathery and green tree. It gives fruits and feeds the animals. So now, let's find out the rhyming words from the poem. Pond, underground, like, thing, shadows, branches, etc. So now one more work is provided to you. That's time to do. Collect information about the famous works of Rabindranath Tagore and write the titles of it. So here we see Rabindranath Tagore is considered as a national poet. So he's one of the Nobel Award winner also. So he wrote many books and many other writings also. So here there's an activity given to you. You need to collect information about the famous Rabindranath Tagore and his works, and you need to give the titles to his work. So these are all the works you have to do about the Rabindranath Tagore. So in that way, Rabindranath Tagore found out his feelings towards the banyan tree, and he remembers it all the time for his gratefulness. It provides the water, it provides the fruits, feeds the animal and everything. So in that way, Rabindranath Tagore is very thankful to the banyan tree.